Hey everyone, this is Abbas from Tech Radar, and 2020 has been an interesting year to say the least. Nevertheless, here we are almost at the end of it, and it's time to pick our favorite smartphones for the year. I am not going to be selecting just one particular model because I think all flagship models nowadays are pretty good, and if you have one versus the other, you're not really missing out on a whole lot. So the way we will structure this is we will go chronologically. So we'll start from the start of 2020. So the phones that came out earlier are the ones that I'll start talking about first, and then as the year progresses, we'll continue down that list. So let's get started and look at some of the best phones of 2020. So the year started with Samsung releasing the S20 range. There was the S20, S20 Plus, and the S20 Ultra. The S20 Ultra was supposed to be the best flagship of that time with an insanely good 108 megapixel camera. Unfortunately, things didn't play out as well as Samsung would have hoped, with the camera being a bit slow to focus, and though it could take some great shots, it didn't consistently take good shots. Where Samsung did win was with the S20 and S20 Plus. Now, they weren't a massive jump over last year's models, but they were very good Android phones. So in fact that they were on the top of our best smartphone lists for a good part of the year. Along with the Galaxy S20 series, Samsung also launched the Galaxy Z Flip, and this was an incredible phone that stole the thunder from the Motorola Razr. This was the first foldable phones, very reminiscent of how we used flip phones, and done really well. Everybody really liked the Flip. Whoever used it really liked it, and Samsung did a good job with the overall good speed, good camera, good performance, decent screen. Everything about the phone was really nice, and this is the second phone that we wanted to highlight for the best phones of 2020. Continuing with foldable phones, the Huawei Mate XS is our next phone on the list. This is a slightly risky design for foldables. Obviously, you've got the screen right on front that unfolds, so you've got the whole screen on the front. People were concerned about dropping the phone or cracking the screen. I've been using it for the last 6 months, and I've never seen any issues, or I haven't experienced any such issues. I haven't read anything about them online either, which means that the design could possibly hold. I think it just makes perfect sense for a foldable design where you have just one camera module that can act as your primary camera as well as your selfie camera, and the screen literally just expands into a foldable state. The Huawei Mate XS is the third phone we've chosen for the best phones of 2020. Oppo can certainly surprise you. The original Find X was one of my favorite phones of the year. It was released. The automatic sliding mechanism with no front camera on that was just insane. I loved that design. Now, some of that cool factor has been lost with the Find X2 Pro, but nevertheless, it is a top-end flagship phone of 2020, boasting great specs, a fantastic camera, and probably the best screen of the year. I love the screen on this phone. Battery life is great as well. It does not have wireless charging, which is a sad omission for a phone of 2020, but nevertheless, we still think it's one of the greatest phones of 2020. This is the Huawei P40 Pro, and it is a fantastic phone from all angles except for one. Huawei wasn't allowed to equip Google Mobile Services on its phone, and if that is something that's important to you, then that could be a deal breaker. However, if you can live without Google services, then this could possibly be the best Android phone of this year. It's got a brilliant camera, it's got a great design, good battery life, fast performance. Everything that you'd require in a mobile phone is present on the Huawei P40 Pro. Next up on this list is the OnePlus 8 Pro, which is the most expensive phone that OnePlus has ever made. It's also the best phone that OnePlus has ever made. And you know what? It competes perfectly fine with the likes of Samsung, Huawei, and Oppo. This is a fantastic phone, and I think OnePlus is ready to play with the big boys. They do need to increase their coverage. We don't see a lot of their phones here in the Middle East, or at least not in the UAE, so they do need to expand their coverage of where the phones are available, where they're serviced from. But as far as specs and hardware is concerned, I think this is a fantastic phone. If there was one phone in 2020 that surprised me, it has to be the Moto Edge Plus. This is Motorola's return to flagship, and what a fantastic job they've done. The phone feels great in your hand. It's not as wide as some of the other flagship phones that we've spoken about. The screen is great, the camera is great, the audio is great, battery life is fantastic. Everything about this phone is really nice. It has a very stock Android experience to it, so it's rather zippy. It's got the top-end specs, and I think this is one of the phones that really needs to be talked about for the year 2020. Samsung released the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra towards the middle of the year, and what a fantastic phone it has been. The S20 Ultra, which had a bit of a camera misstep, I mean, this phone totally fixes it. It's got a great camera, it's got a great screen, fast performance, even though we've got the Exynos version in the Middle East, which honestly speaking isn't or wasn't the greatest for this year, hoping Samsung solves that for the next year. But everything else about this phone is just fantastic, and if you enjoy using a stylus, there is nothing better than the Galaxy Note 20. There are rumors that this might actually be the last Galaxy Note 20, and that would be kind of sad because it's a great phone. But then you know what? Samsung's going to go out in style with the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, which is one of our favorite phones of 2020. Along with the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, Samsung also released the Galaxy Z Fold 2 5G, and what a massive jump this is from the original Fold that was released last year with certain problems. Samsung took it to heart and literally solved every single issue that people complained about. It's a gorgeous phone, very well built, beautiful screen, fast, nice camera. Everything about this phone is great, and if you are looking to get a foldable phone in 2020, this is probably it. This is definitely one of our top phones of 2020, and I honestly can't wait to see what Samsung does with the third version of the Fold, considering how far they've come between the first and the second version. And finally, towards the year, Apple released the iPhone 12. Not one, not two, not three, but they released 4 phones in 3 different sizes. You had the regular iPhone 12 in Pro and regular mode, and then you had the Mini for people who want a small phone, or the Max for someone who wants a large phone. Just like every new iPhone, these new iPhone 12s are equipped with Apple's latest industry-leading processor, and there's 5G across the board. Now, if those things are important to you, then by all means go ahead and upgrade to the new iPhone. However, if you have an iPhone 11, there's not a whole lot. Yes, there is a new design, sadly no 120 Hz refresh rate. That was the one thing that I would have personally liked, but you know what, they're iPhones, they're top-of-the-line phones, and you can't really go wrong purchasing them. So those were my favorite phones out of 2020. I'm not sure if you agree or don't agree with my choices. These were the phones that were officially released in the Middle East, or at least in the UAE, which is why I've chosen them. Feel free to comment and let me know if there's any other phone that you would have picked to be on this list, or one that you don't agree with. This is Abbas signing out, and stay tuned to Tech Radar for everything in the world of tech. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay notified of all our new videos.